In this video, I'm setting up a WireGuard VPN gateway on a Proxmox virtual machine. The virtual machine I'm using is running Ubuntu Server 2204 with minimal specs. I have one virtual CPU, 1 GB of RAM, and a small disk. Nothing crazy, just enough to run WireGuard reliably. So the machine is already built and powered on, so I'm starting right at the configuration stage. I'll walk through installing WireGuard, generating keys, building the server and peer configurations, setting up port forwarding, and even fixing a carrier-grade network address translation issue with my ISP. So let's jump right into it. So I begin by typing this command to update the package list on the Ubuntu virtual machine. I do this to make sure that everything is current before I install WireGuard, and I run it with sudo. Next, I type this command to upgrade everything to the latest version. And after that finishes, I personally like to work with a clear screen, so I just clear my screen real quick. Now I type this command to install WireGuard. If the installer asks whether to continue, just select yes. After installation, I check the version with this command here, just to confirm that WireGuard is installed correctly and I have the updated version. Next, I sudo into root. Once I'm in root, I generate the server's private and public keys using the commands shown on the screen. After generating them, I display both the keys so that I can copy them down. Just make sure that you're not showing your private key to anybody. The private key must stay secure. The public key is the only part that should ever be shared with anybody else, and only share that to people who actually need to connect to your server. After that, I change the permissions on the private key file to 600. I do this to ensure that only the root user has access to it. Next, I create the WireGuard configuration file under the etc/WireGuard directory. I enter the structure you see on the screen, the server's VPN address, the private key, the listen port, and the post up and post down commands. These commands set up and tear down the network address translation rules so that WireGuard traffic routes correctly into the network. After that, I edit the system control configuration file to enable IPv4 packet forwarding by uncommenting this line right here. This allows the virtual machine to route packets between interfaces, and I verify the setting with this command shown on the screen. Then I change the permissions recursively on the entire WireGuard directory so that only the root can access these configuration files. Once that's done, I enable the WireGuard service, start it, and check its status. At this point, WireGuard is active and running. Next, I move to my Mac. I open the terminal and I sudo into root on the Mac computer. Back on the virtual machine, I double check the WireGuard interface to confirm the public key, hidden private key, and listening port all look correct. Now I'm going to generate the public and private key pair for my Mac, which will act as the peer connecting to the VPN. After generating the keys, I add the peer section to the WireGuard configuration file on the server. I assign the Mac the VPN address of 10.10.10.2/32 because that's going to be the next available address and it's a point-to-point assignment. Then I list the private and public keys on my Mac. Again, same rules apply, guys. The private key is never to be shared, only the public key that's going to be added to the server. After confirming the keys, I enter the Mac's public key into the peer configuration on the server and restart WireGuard. Next, on the Mac side, I configure the interface by entering the server's public key and my Mac's private key. So for my endpoint IP address, I entered what I thought was my public IP address. At first, I simply used the IP that What Is My IP gave me, but that IP was actually wrong. My ISP was likely using carrier grade network address translation, which means that What Is My IP showed the ISP's external address rather than the actual routable IP that my router was using. So because of that, the endpoint in my configuration was incorrect for WireGuard. I'll show you how I fixed this problem and found the correct IP address. After entering the rest of the fields, I saved the configuration and installed the WireGuard app on my Mac computer. This makes managing and activating the tunnel so much easier. So I download the app and install it and prepare for use. Next, I configure my router's port forwarding rules. I forward UDP port 51820 on the virtual machine's internal IP. I'm using Verizon, so if you're also using Verizon, your interface should look similar. Now I activate the WireGuard tunnel on the Mac and test it. I attempt to ping the server while connected to a hotspot so that I'm off my home network. The ping fails, which tells me that something is wrong. I also can't reach Proxmox, which only confirms that issue. I reconnect to my home network and I verify that I can once again connect to Proxmox directly, but I still cannot ping the WireGuard IP. So I know that something in the WireGuard configuration isn't correct. Even from inside the Proxmox virtual machine, I still cannot ping my Mac's WireGuard IP address. I reconnect to my hotspot and I continue troubleshooting. Still no connection. I return to my home network and I inspect the server configuration again. Everything appears correct, so I check the peer configuration as well. To verify my actual IP, I run the curl command on my Mac. This command returns the real routable external IP that my home network is using. This IP is actually different from the one that was reported from What Is My IP, and this confirms to me that I was suffering from carrier grade network address translation issues. What's My IP gave me the ISP's upstream shared IP, not the actual IP that I need for WireGuard. I copied the correct IP address from the curl command and cross-check it with my router's system status page. They both match, and that confirms to me that that's the endpoint that I do need to use. So I update the WireGuard configuration. I replace the incorrect endpoint IP with the correct one. I save the change and I reactivate the tunnel. Now I'm going to reconnect to my hotspot, and this time the ping command succeeds. I can ping the WireGuard server, I can reach my Proxmox environment, and I can ping both the server and the peer from across the tunnel. When I deactivate the connection, the ping stops. So this confirms to me that the tunnel is working exactly as expected. So now WireGuard is fully configured and is functioning properly. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If this video helped you, please do not forget to subscribe and like. See you guys in the next one.